Time now for a check of our top stories in the Bahamas. Things are moving forward, and politicians there are touting their work and making it happen. Our Deandra Hamilton reports.
In what is the last budget the current Free National Movement government administration will present in the Bahamas House of Assembly, there were chairs and jeers. Chairs for the FNM, which was painted by the Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis as the do-something government. Jeers for the PLP opposition, depicted as the do-nothing government.
We are delivering historic infrastructure all across the Family Islands. There are new waterworks, new roads and bridges, new passport offices in local communities. New airports are on the way.
In his closing remarks during budget debate, the Prime Minister reminded PLP leader Brave Davis was second in command in the Christie administration, which lost dismally in the last general election.
Last administration, he was the Minister of Public Works. That's right. And deputy to the Prime Minister. He was a powerful man. Short in stature, but powerful.
That's a $65 million investment in Exuma, he said. The airport announcement came as the Lyndon Pinling International in Nassau experienced its biggest day in over a year, processing over 9,300 passengers on Wednesday gone. Huge was the reveal of a $350 million investment in the Grand Bahama shipyard, which will create larger berths to accommodate massive vessels.
Bahama, Mr. Speaker, will become the largest cruise ship repair facility in the world.
Another key announcement that the Rand Memorial Hospital, also in Grand Bahama, which was submerged in 2019's Hurricane Dorian surge waters, is going higher.
This year's budget includes $19 million for the Rand Memorial Hospital four-story expansion.
There is no date for the next general election in the Bahamas, but it's due by May 2022.
And that was our Deandra Hamilton reporting. Well, meanwhile, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis has extended their state of emergency by another 6 months in its fight against COVID-19. Now, the state of emergency originally set to expire on July 7th, but Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris said that it was being extended in part of his administration's efforts to protect the lives and livelihoods and, of course, contain the spread of the virus. He told legislatures that the state of emergency is a critical tool in the fight against the pandemic, and it provides a sound legal anchor for the series of curfews in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic last year in March, we have utilized this tool to help us control the virus. Emergency powers were utilized in the first instance last year for a period not exceeding 21 days, which is the limit placed on the time span for which the Governor General can promulgate a state of emergency without the approval of the Parliament. Given the continuing community spread, there is a need for the state of emergency to be extended beyond July 6, as the COVID-19 pandemic still presents an existential threat to lives and livelihoods in St. Kitts and Nevis.
And the latest figures show that the Twin Island Federation has recorded 429 cases of the virus since March of last year, with 127 recovering so far. There have been 3 reported deaths. And we could be just months away from a COVID-19 vaccine for kids 5 years and older. Pfizer is currently studying the vaccine's effectiveness for more than 4,000 kids in that age group. There are 250 of them participating in the trial at Children's Hospital in Colorado. Victoria De Leon introduces us to a few of these kids.
Life for many of us feels closer to normal these days. We're going to restaurants, having get-togethers, and wearing our masks less.
And then another thing I'd love to do is just go see my friends and have a big party.
9-year-old Diamo isn't quite there yet. His mom, dad, and even 13-year-old brother Ezra have all been vaccinated, but there isn't a COVID-19 vaccine for kids under 12 yet.
Well, I have to admit, so when I heard that Ezra got his vaccination, I was excited for him, but it was kind of sad that I couldn't get one, and I still had to wear that sticky, smelly, disgusting mask.
Luckily, normal is within reach for him and other kids his age. Diamo is part of Pfizer's vaccine trial for kids 5 to 11 years old at Children's Hospital, Colorado. When his family found out about it, his dad says they signed him up without hesitation.
And so we just looked at the facts and realized that there wasn't really a risk.
I was super excited because I knew now if I do this, I could actually help the vaccine out.
Dr. Pio Coley says Diamo and the other kids in this trial are playing an important role in an even more important time.
We now have a Delta variant. We now have all these aggressive variants, and we don't know what the long-term implications of being infected with those types of variants at a young age are.
Diamo doesn't know if he received the real vaccine or a placebo.
I'm actually feeling pretty excited.
But does know he's at least a little closer to throwing that mask away.
And if you or someone you know had COVID-19, loss of smell might have been or still is one of the virus's impacts. Now, a small study suggests that most COVID-19 patients who lost their sense of smell fully recovered within a year. French researchers studied 51 patients who had acute loss of smell after testing positive for COVID-19. The study also showed only 2 patients remained with a decreased sense of smell 1 year later. And United Airlines is taking advantage of low demand for new airplanes to stock up. The company announced Tuesday it has ordered 270 new aircrafts. Now that's the largest in its history and the biggest order by any airline in more than a decade. United is adding 200 Boeing 737 MAX jets and 70 Airbus A321neo airplanes. Now, most of the jets will replace smaller regional planes that carry about 50 passengers each. The list price for the airplanes is about $35 billion, but analysts believe United likely negotiated a significant discount. The move comes as demand for leisure travel is nearly back up to almost pre-pandemic levels. Business travel is more lucrative for airlines, and that still is stagnant.